In this video, we are going to be going over a Frost utility mage build that's going to help you unleash damage, chill, and freeze your enemies while taking advantage of the Frost magic school. We'll go over the spells and the weapons and the blood, the rotation of how to play it optimally, and everything you need to know to take advantage of this Frost utility mage playstyle. Let's get into it. Okay, so first up, the general gist of the build is going to be utilizing the ability to proc freezes and then raining down pain from range, detonating a bunch of freezes with the ability to also protect ourselves and hold off until our next rotation, until we can barrage, utilizing all of the frost, blow up, slowing our enemies, freezing them while staying at range nice and safe. And first up, as far as the blood for this build, it's going to be a ranged caster spell-centric build. So a really good option is going with the Draculan base. It's just incredible for almost any ranged magic build. And then we pair that with the Scour 2 because it's going to give us a massive 14% increased spell cooldown rate. Going to help us make sure we're hitting the cap on our spell cooldown so we can cycle through as often as possible. You see right here the 43% spell cooldown rate. Then as far as the gear, we're going to be going with the Maleficer set because that's going to give us more spell cooldown rate, spell leech, and also gain 15% spell crit chance for 4 seconds after using a veil. This build does involve getting high crit with those spells, so basically Maleficer is perfect gear for what we're going to be going for in this playstyle. Then for the amulet, we're going to be going with the blue one, which is the Amulet of the Arc Warlock, mainly because we're going to be getting that 8% spell crit chance. And if we look under the attributes, we are going for a lot of spell crit, trying to max that out with this build. And then it is also kind of nice that it gives us that chance to gain cold blood. Then for the elixir that we're going to want online during play, we're going with the Elixir of the Bat because it's going to give us mainly spell cooldown to help us hit that maxed out cooldown threshold on our spells, but also super handy to get that spell leech. We're going to be constantly cycling through and doing damage with our spells, mainly the Frostbat right here. It's going to help us leech a little bit more as well to get those constant ticks of healing. Then for the weapon, you can kind of pair the weapon with anything you're most comfortable with because we're just trying to kind of stay at range. Good options would be anything that gives you iframes, like swapping over to the pistol for the E that lets you roll, or anything that's going to help you stay safe and get those iframes. But a nice one to work towards is getting the Fate Dancers. It's kind of a fun one because you have options to proc some of those chill and freezes to help synergize with the playstyle. Because what the Fate Dancers are going to do, if you can get access to this legendary weapon down the road, is you can proc out your Q ability. What it's going to do is place a chill effect right there, and then it's also going to freeze something there on the return. And it won't return if it hits a wall. So when you're dropping this thing, you do kind of want to make sure you're avoiding a wall. So right there, you'll get the chill. Then when it returns, you'll proc a bunch of freezes just like that. So Fate Dancers, kind of a fun one to have with this style. And as far as the rolls that are going to be going on your weapon, you're looking for the rolls that are going to max out your spell crit power, and then also making sure you're hitting as high as you can on the bonus to spell power as well, which is why when you see right here, we're capping out both the bonus spell power, the spell crit chance, and then we're also getting a pretty big boost to the spell critical power. Then for the weapon coding, you could do a few different options like the Unholy one because it will help you do a little bit more damage by proccing the Condemn, or you could go with the Illusion one because the Weakens will help you take less damage, but you really can't go wrong with the Frost coding here because, again, it's just going to be more synergies with this playstyle of trying to proc those constant chills everywhere. Also, a similar reason as to why we're choosing the Veil of Frost. There's lots of really good Veils in V Rising, but this one's going to help us kind of dash in and then use a primary to proc a bunch of chill, and then also our Illusion, if we were like dashing away, our Illusion is going to pop behind us and proc it as well. So you see if I teleport away, our Illusion at our original location is going to proc a bunch of chill as well. So this one just synergizes really well, and you can use it in a few different ways. And the jewels that I was going with on this one was the Illusion that explodes, giving us that Nova of Ice inflicting chill. The duration is always great. Increase shield absorb amount by 40%. And then our next primary attack after the Veil is also going to help us proc more chills, which is what you see right here when I Veil. And then I attack and I proc all of those chills right there. Then for spell 1, we're going with the Frostbat. This is a great way to deal a lot of very long range damage, and it's also really good because it has charges. So what you can do is you can cast one, you still have another charge ready to go, cast another one like that, and you can really do a lot of chill and freeze on a wide array of enemies from a very long range. And then for spell number 2, Frost Barrier is one of the best spells in the game because it's going to help you put out a lot of damage if you're absorbing a lot of attacks. Like if there's a bunch of projectiles being spammed your way, that will allow you to proc a bunch of frost spikes that are going to deal damage to your opponents, and you can really keep yourself safe while also dishing out some damage. But if you are just going to be doing like a bunch of PvE super fast farming, like maybe you're running a bunch of Mortium Rifts or something, you definitely could swap over for something like Ice Nova and then just have a lot more AoE damage at your disposal to be throwing those out along with bats and just constantly be cycling around, because that would give you a lot more consistent AoE damage. But the Frost Barrier is just absolutely incredible. It's so good because it will make the build a lot more consistent and just make your ability to actually stay in the fight without losing a bunch of your HP a lot higher. And then for the ultimate, that is kind of a similar conversation there with the Frost Barrier. Ice Block is going to be a great defensive option that's going to help you gather your bearings while also inflicting chill and keeping yourself safe. But again, if you're going to be doing a bunch of PvE farming, you could go for something like this and just use it to initiate the fight here by barraging down, utilizing the Arctic Leap to inflict a bunch of freeze, initiating a fight and blow it up for tons of damage. So I do kind of like going with Ice Block. It's just a safer option. It'll make the build a little bit more generally useful, but there are better options maybe for speed farming, but this one would be fine in really any kind of content, just going with this general setup with the Veil of Frost, the Frost Bat, the Frost Barrier, and then the Ice Block. Then for the passives, we're going to be going with both of the cold options. Cold Soul, going to help us get the spell critical power up while also dealing more damage to chilled and frozen enemies. So obviously kind of a perfectly tailor-made passive for this build. Then you have Chill Weave, where shields absorb 10% additional damage. And then Breaking Freeze, with a damaging attack, triggers a Frost Nova, dealing 40% magic damage and inflicting chills. So it just helps us kind of synergize more and more chills and a little bit more toughness. Then the rest of the passive options you can play with a little bit. I did like going with Flowing Sorcery just because it helps me hit that cap of the spell cooldown rate. And then Bastion, just a really good option for increasing our toughness and our utility. If things start to go poorly in a boss fight, it'll help us actually keep in the fight and survive. And then also Turbulent Velocity is just an S+ to your passive. It's so good in so many different builds because you basically get a permanent 8% movement speed, helps us move around the battlefield and be a lot more consistent. Then as far as optimal play, there's a few different ways to kind of go about it. What I like doing is using the Fate Dancer Q as an initiator like that. And then we start barraging bats from long range, dealing a bunch of damage. From there, you can go a few different directions. You can either dash in and proc more of your chill while then casting another bat and then utilizing your Frost Barrier to get yourself space to be ready to do the Q initiation again while raining down bats like this. And then again, you can dive in, proc more chill and explode more things, and then use your Frost Barrier to back out and get space. Then drop your Q and start spamming your bats again. Maybe dash in, proc those chills, blow things up, and then back out with your barrier. And then your Q is off cooldown, you're ready for another rotation, and that's kind of like the overall general playstyle you're going to be going for. And our ultimate in this build isn't really an initiator. It's kind of like a grab your bearings, heal a little bit, and reform a setup with your rotation when things are kind of snowballing out of control. So because it heals us a little bit and keeps us safe for a while, you might want to wait until kind of in the middle of the fight when things are starting to go south, and then you could pop this thing to be proccing a bunch of chill around you, doing some damage while also healing yourself for a little bit, and then giving yourself an opportunity to kind of gather yourself and restart after healing just a little bit. So now I'll walk you through a fight live here. We'll summon a Primal Soul in the base and talk about some of the rotation ideas we're going to be going for. So first up, I'm kind of going to initiate with that Q and then just try to keep my distance and spam those bats because they do have a very long range. Okay, so here we go. We're going to drop that Q, proc some chill and some freeze. Then we're going to be spamming bats, initiate those. We can dash in, proc more chill, and then we're going to be buying some space with our barrier. Now we're going to back out and get ready for our rotation again. Wait till our dash is off cooldown. We're going to kind of leave a decoy to buy ourselves space to drop that and drop some bats. And then we're going to drop our barrier right there. Now we're waiting for our cooldowns again. Then we're going to drop a decoy. We're going to place that, proc some freezes. Now we want to get hit right there with our barrier. Now we're waiting. We have our veil back. We're going to get out of the way, leave a decoy, drop our Q, spam some bats, put up our barrier, and you just want to take your time. You don't want to get too quick there trying to finish things off. You want to play it safe, and just like that, we are able to take down a fight. So you just want to kind of keep your distance, manage your cooldowns, manage your veil, and manage your frost barrier. Make sure you've always got a get out of jail free card ready to go. You initiate with your Q, proc the chill, proc the freeze, and then you drop your bats, and then kind of gather yourself and just keep a distance and take your time, and you should do just fine. So yeah, this Frost DPS mage style can be good in a lot of different content, and it's just very consistent because you've got good options for offensive, single target, AoE, slowing your opponents with chill and freeze. You've got a defensive passive, you've got a frost barrier, which is one of the best defensive spells in the game, and you've just got a lot of different directions you can go with this playstyle, so it's super fun. And if you ever want access to those build sheets and stuff that I do for my builds, I'll have them in the Discord server in the resources section for you to grab whatever you would like. I link down below to the Discord if you ever want to pop in and say hi. If you have questions, tag me, and I'll have the build sheets in the resources section for you to grab as well. And remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the future build videos, tips and tricks, and all that type of stuff we're going to be doing here on the channel. So I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Peace.